Welcome back to Tony Gonsolin and Lucas Giolito, and welcome in to Fantasy Baseball today. You know what time it is.
It's gonna be May.
That's right. Thursday, May 1st. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, we had some impressive pitching debuts, both team season debuts and major league debuts. We'll fire up the trustometer, discuss the DBacks Bullpen. Seems like Justin Martinez might be hurt, and much more. Let's jump in.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
All right, Scott. Breadstick of the night, player of the night, goes to you, Tony Gonsolin.
Is it the breadstick? I guess it's the breadstick. It was the first one who came to mind for me. And that's because he looked really good. Against Miami, granted, but really good. Struck out 9 in 6 innings, walked nobody. That's... when Tony Gonsolin's at his best, he's had really good control. His track record is pretty spotty in every respect, I would say. But at his best, a really good strike thrower, Tony Gonsolin. So 17 whiffs on just 77 pitches, 6 on the fastball. I'm sorry, 4 on the fastball, 6 on the slider, 5 on the splitter, 2 on the curveball. Mm-hmm. So he was missing bats with everything, and it was only 77 pitches, but I was still encouraged that the Dodgers let him go 6 innings in his first start back. I think that may have been just as encouraging as any other part of the stat line. So we've been yearning for interesting starting pitchers off the waiver wire. I would say this start, combined with some of the highs Tony Gonsolin has had in the past. I know the last time we saw him, 2023, wasn't very good, but a lot of times that last year that leads to Tommy John surgery, you see that. Mm-hmm. Look what he did the year before, 16-1 record with all the other numbers looking good. So I think there's a lot to like here with Tony Gonsolin, and I think he's a priority pickup after this start.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about who that we've added over the past couple of weeks would I drop for him? Would you drop Tyler Mahle for him? I kind of think I would.
I don't think I would.
That's probably about the line. I get it, because what was interesting about Tyler Mahle for the first few starts has kind of disappeared in the last 2. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, the strikeouts have just been pretty underwhelming all season. Yeah,
the whiffs on the fastball specifically. That's a close one. I suppose if it was a shallow enough league that he was really my worst player, I guess I would do it. Drop Mahle for Gonsolin.
Is this a player that you would drop Gavin Williams for, who we spoke about the other day? I know, Chris, even the other day before this debut, you said you would do it. So I guess the question is to Scott. Would you drop Gavin Williams for Tony Gonsolin?
Yeah, I think so at this point. How low did I move Gavin Williams? I think I moved him outside of my top 70 rest of season. So I could get Gonsolin higher than that, sure.
All right, well, Mitchell Parker, easy drop.
Yeah.
Jake Irvin.
So. Jake Irvin, yep. What about Landon Root?
I think I'd drop Landon Root for him.
Yeah, It was another rough start. We'll talk about him a little bit more later on. Let's just get through all these debuts now, because I think that was kind of the big talking point here from Wednesday. Lucas Giolito, in his Red Sox debut, his first start since 2023, turned in a quality start at the Blue Jays. 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts, only 9 whiffs on 90 pitches here, but threw 68% of his pitches for strikes. Thought that was pretty encouraging here as well. Velocity pretty much in line with where he was at back in 2022 and 2023. 43% rostered. Chris, who would you prefer to add between Giolito and Tony Gonsolin?
It's Gonsolin for me. It was Gonsolin before this start. I think Gonsolin looked better than Giolito. I know the matchups, Toronto versus Miami. Miami's much easier, but I'll also point out Gonsolin, the defense let him down. I think the last 2 runs he allowed were pretty iffy. One was off a defender's glove. The other one just went under a defender's glove. Could have been an even better day for him. So I would give Gonsolin the edge over Giolito. And I'm actually not sure it would even be an edge for me. I think I just prefer Gonsolin because, we haven't seen Lucas Giolito have a good season since 2021. at this point. I know 2023, he was decent in the first half. The peripherals were not good. He had like a 3.45 ERA before the All-Star break, but it was like a 4.25 FIP. So it was obviously awesome in 2022, terrible in 2023. But I'll give Gonsolin the edge. He's further removed from his surgery as well, so you would think that there's less of that. Like he should have been ready to go for the start of the season, and he hurt his back this spring. So I'm going to go with Gonsolin over Giolito as well.
I'm not even sure I'm that motivated to pick up Giolito after this start.
I agree.
He really just went fastball changeup. Didn't throw much of the slider at all. It was basically just 2-pitch pitcher in this start. Previously, it'd been a 3-pitch pitcher. You said his velocity was back to where we saw it when?
In 2022 and 2023 when he was bad,
exactly. Yeah. Like it wasn't back to where it was when Giolito was actually good. He did get a decent number of whiffs on the fastball, but all in all, there wasn't enough here for me to get excited about Giolito's return. And obviously those deeper leagues where there's just garbage on the waiver wire, yeah, fine, pick up Giolito then. But normal size leagues, I think you can let him lie.
Yeah, I would rather take the flyer on Giolito than Mitchell Parker.
Sure.
Those kind of like even maybe Tyler Mahle, like just guys who I don't think there's very much upside. I don't think there's a ton of upside there with Giolito, but I could talk myself into it, right? So whereas I can't really talk myself into Tyler Mahle having much long-term upside. I think he'll be useful. I think he can be fine, but I think there's at least a chance Giolito has some upside there.
And then,
I put Mitchell Parker and Tyler Mahle in different categories, but
sure.
So the gist of what you're saying, I agree with. I just don't know that I put Tyler Mahle specifically on that side of the ledger.
But like Merrill Kelly is 83% rostered. Gavin Williams is 84. Jose Barrios is another one where it's like, I don't mind dropping him. Renel Blanco, I don't mind. Like, I'm not saying I would drop all of those guys for Lucas Giolito, but if it's a shallow enough league,
yeah,
I think it's probably okay. I don't think you're going to regret dropping those guys to take a chance that Giolito unlocks something.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor the point. Merrill Kelly, I agree with you. There's not a lot of upside there. I think I see more upside in some of those others you mentioned than you do.
I don't want to be labeled as the Merrill Kelly guy on this podcast, but 4 really good starts in a row for Merrill Kelly. I will just point out, he's been
at one point you could have said that about Mitchell Parker.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. Merrill Kelly, Jose Barrios. Yeah, they're, I guess, more floor options, high floor options than anything else at this point. Let's go over to Royals pitching prospect Noah Cameron, who made his major league debut. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning in his first career start at the Tampa Bay Rays. 6 1/3 shutout, 1 hit, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts, only 8 whiffs on 79 pitches. I don't want to do the thing where,
I know, I don't want to do it.
Rookie has this awesome start, really happy for the guy, but you dig in under the hood a little bit. 58% of his pitches for strikes, 5 walks to 3 strikeouts. Like, I'm happy that this was a great start for him. I don't even know if he's going to stick around. What did you guys think about Noah Cameron?
I don't know that I'd ever I get it. 1 hit, no earned runs. Maybe those who view pitching through an ERA first lens would see it as a good start. But I don't know that I ever see 5 walks and 3 strikeouts in a pitching line and think, wow, he pitched great. So I wasn't that impressed by this from Noah Cameron. He didn't get a single whiff on his fastball. And I think that's going to be critical to his success. If his fastball can provide anything for him, because it's a low velocity fastball. 92.1 is what Noah Cameron averaged on it. Early this year at AAA, it was up a mile per hour, but that seems to have normalized. And it's supposed to have good carry. That's what the scouting report said. But when he gets 0 whiffs on it, I'm just not sure I believe that.
Yeah, it was 14 inches of induced vertical break in this one. It did have a flat approach angle, which is one of the things that you're looking for. But at 92, it's going to be really hard for that to play as anything more than just okay. So yeah, I didn't see much here to be super enthused about. And just, we're not even sure, like Frank said, that he's going to stick around. Cole Reagans hasn't been placed on the IL yet. So this might just be a one start thing.
Yeah. So I think it's more of a scout team for now. Let's see where Noah Cameron goes from here. We'll just quickly mention the Reds also promoted a pitching prospect. Did not go the same way as Noah Cameron. Chase Petty, 2 1/3 innings, 9 runs allowed, 2 homers allowed. He did have 11 whiffs. Long term, I still think there's a good amount of upside for Chase Petty, but obviously was not good here in his major league debut. Let's take our first break, and when we return, we'll get into Chris and my players of the night, and we'll do that right after this.
Get ready for a Sunday showdown on CBS and streaming live on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Chris, who is your player of the night?
My player of the night is Masyn Winn, who, remember how terrible he was this spring? And then he opened the season going hitless in his first 5 games and I think struck out in like a third of his plate appearances in those first 5 games. Well, after going 4 for 8 with 2 home runs on Wednesday across a doubleheader, I believe he is hitting 360 or right around 360 since the first 5 games of the season. That's really good. 360 batting average is really good. The strikeout rate, it's down to about 22% in that stretch. So not as low as we'd like. I think, Masyn Winn probably someone who needs to live in like the 18 to 19% range to really, live up to expectations. But it's just a reminder that a slow start doesn't really matter. I know it feels like it should. It doesn't. It's just unless it costs a guy playing time or look, there are going to be examples of guys who get off to a slow start and it actually is a canary in a coal mine. It's a sign that something has gone wrong for them in a way we weren't expecting. Usually that's not the case. Usually a slump in April is no more meaningful or predictive than a slump in June. And our expectations for Masyn Winn should probably be pretty similar to what they were before the season, especially now that he's already turned it around and has been doing really well for the last 15 or so games that he's played. It doesn't mean Masyn Winn's going to be a superstar. We never thought that Masyn Winn was definitely a superstar before this. It's just a reminder that these things need patience, especially for a guy who missed some time as well.
Yeah. I mean, to add to your point, you say sometimes it is a canary in a coal mine, but usually it's not. Even in the cases where it is, it's almost impossible to tell in the moment.
Right.
That's something you only observe in retrospect. And, I do think there is a distinction between players who had a clear outlook coming into the season and players who had a fuzzy outlook. Like
Dylan Cruz, another example of that.
Who is?
Dylan Cruz, another one where it's like, because he didn't have the track record, the slow start might be meaningful. The slow start might tell us something. I just don't know if it does.
And other side of the coin, Tyler Soderstrom had a fuzzy outlook coming into the season. And so I've been a little more aggressive about moving him up in my rankings because I didn't have a clear idea who he was to begin with. So I do think there's some level of going with the flow with players you're just not sure about to begin with. To a degree, obviously you don't let it interfere with the stalwarts. But yes, generally speaking, I mean, just look what happened to Brandon Nimmo the other day. Your mood on him totally changed in one day. And then he got sick and hasn't played since. But you get the idea. I think if you have Brandon Nimmo in fantasy, you're not sorry you drafted him right now.
I will point out on Soderstrom, I don't think it really matters very much. He's been a little cold for a couple of weeks. I don't know. Let me see what the exact. He had a hit today, but his previous 10 games, he was hitting 200 with a 31% strikeout rate and no home runs. I don't necessarily think it matters that much. I do like that he got outfield eligibility, but He played his 6th game today, so he's outfield eligible now. We'll just point out we have roughly 20 games of Tyler Soderstrom looking like a really good hitter. And then the most 11 recent ones, he looks pretty bad. It's small samples all the way down here, folks, but this is why we are a little more hesitant to move guys up without a track record than you want us to be. And I know, Scott, this has been a big source of consternation for you in recent days, but it's a reminder that when we're dealing with these really small sample sizes, it's fine to have a strong opinion. You shouldn't dig your heels in. Like, it's fine to say, yeah, I think Tyler Soderstrom's breaking out. But 20 games is just 20 games, you know? Like, mediocre hitters get 20 really good games with good underlying data fairly regularly. They're major league players. They're really talented.
Yeah.
Yep. Masyn has had 15 good games. And
it should be expected for every player that they're going to slump at some point in the season, especially for a young player. So just keep those things in mind. Getting back to Masyn Winn, he's only 55% rostered on CBS. Not sure he's like a must-add, must-roster player in points leagues and things, but looking at some players that are rostered in more leagues than him, Zach McKinstry, Cedar Rafaela.
Easily
Moore,
rather have Masyn Winn than those guys.
Like Dylan Moore, Tyler Fitzgerald.
Dylan Moore's on the IL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I mean, if you have an IL spot, whatever, although I don't think he's really a high priority IL stash, but yeah, those guys are fairly easy to drop. Even like Zach McKinstry, he's hit for a really good batting average. He hasn't done anything else so far this season.
I've been stubbornly keeping McKinstry out of the visible range of my rankings at all the positions where he's eligible.
I might have just moved him into the visible range now.
Yeah, I just don't think there's anything to it at all.
My player of the night for the wrong reasons. Just want to mention up top, Justin Martinez started the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He gave up a solo homer, then 2 walks. He did not record an out. He was pulled for Ryan Thompson, who then closed it out for his first save of the season. Justin Martinez's velocity was way down in this outing. Sinker was down 4 miles per hour, splitter down 2 miles per hour. They talked about him recently dealing with shoulder fatigue. Doesn't seem like he's healthy. And then after the game, Torey Lovullo said that Martinez will undergo imaging and could require a trip to the IL. So wanted to hit this up top because D-backs expected to be a good team. We're always looking for saves. Who is next up? Kevin Ginkel recently returned. He does have some experience saving games for the D-backs. Shelby Miller has been awesome this season. What do you guys think?
So the fantasy baseball world kind of ignored it. But when Torey Lovullo was asked who was going to close this spring, he always named 3 guys. We just acted like Kevin Ginkel wasn't one of them. But every time he was asked about it, it was AJ Puck, Justin Martinez, and Kevin Ginkel. He's been really good over the past couple of years. This was his first appearance. His velocity was down a bit. I don't know what to make of that, but I think it's fairly clearly Kevin Ginkel as long as he's himself. He might not be, in which case it doesn't matter, but I think they viewed him. I was with everyone else in being skeptical that Ginkel was actually going to be a part of the closer committee with Puck and Martinez, but I don't think he was just lying. So I'll put Ginkel at the top as long as he gets up to speed.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't know how long it's going to take for him to say, yeah, Ginkel's Ginkel and let's go. So I am going to nominate Shelby Miller, whose velocity has been up this year, and he's allowed 3 hits all year. My biggest, well, you know what? It hasn't really been an issue looking at the game log. I wondered if Shelby Miller was someone they trusted to go on back-to-back days, but he's done it 3 times already this season, so I don't think that's an issue. Yeah, if you were betting, let's say this is a long-term injury for Justin Martinez, you're betting somebody long-term, Ginkel, but Shelby Miller might get the next save for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Shelby Miller has been incredible. 12 2/3 shutout innings, 15 strikeouts to 4 walks, a 15.7% swinging strike rate. Though we haven't really seen him close out games. He had 2 saves last year for the Tigers, but it's not something he has a ton of experience doing. I would bet on Kevin Ginkel, but I do think there is a chance for Shelby Miller as well. But Ginkel, by the way, 5% rostered. So even in the deepest of leagues, like NL only, deep roto leagues, you need saves. Just take a shot and let's see what happens here. Before we get to the news and notes, thanks everyone for watching us live. We appreciate you being here. Hit the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you listen to the podcast on audio, drop us a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. It really helps. And again, we do appreciate it. The news and notes: Mike Trout was removed Wednesday due to left knee soreness. That is the same knee that he had surgery on twice last season. Did you guys see or hear anything else here regarding Mike Trout and his knee?
They said it was a precaution. Given his history, I can't say I believe that necessarily, but that is what Ron Washington said.
Yeah. Tyler Glasnow will be shut down 10 to 14 days before being reevaluated. He is on the IL with right shoulder inflammation. George Kirby could begin a rehab assignment as soon as this weekend. Tommy Edman was out of the lineup due to a right ankle injury. He's actually sat out 2 of the past 3 games as he works through that. Jazz Chisholm was out of the lineup with that right oblique injury, which he called a right flank injury. And I don't know. I heard of flank steak. I've never heard of a flank injury before, but I don't know. It's just Jazz being Jazz.
That was my connotation too. No, it was officially reported as a flank injury.
Yeah, I think someone asked him and that's what he said, and they just kind of ran with it. So
okay.
You know what? He spent a lot of time in Miami, probably had a lot of ropa vieja, which is made with flank steak. That's got to be what he was thinking.
Ooh, is it? I do love some ropa vieja.
Oh, so good.
That's what I always get at the Cuban restaurant.
It is great.
love some old clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz said that he was feeling better, but he is still scheduled for an MRI on Thursday. Ivan Herrera will start a rehab assignment on Thursday, 63% rostered. Would you guys take Herrera over any of Agustin Ramirez, Sean Murphy, Hunter Goodman, or Carson Kelly?
I didn't hear who you said, but I heard Agustin Ramirez, and there's no beating him.
Ivan Herrera, Agustin Ramirez, Sean Murphy, Hunter Goodman, Carson Kelly.
So I will rank them all for you. Agustin Ramirez. Geez, how long is it going to take Herrera to actually be rehabilitated?
I guess another week.
In the long run, I'll put Herrera second after Ramirez, then Sean Murphy, then Hunter Goodman. Carson Kelly, way below all of them. He's not actually Mickey Mantle. And by the way, the hottest prospect in baseball right now is a Cubs catcher.
Yeah.
Moises Ballesteros, who is now batting over 400 at AAA, just had a 2-homer game. Really, really good hitter. Built like a bowling ball.
He's basically Alejandro Kirk. Except hopefully he elevates the ball more consistently.
Well, yeah, I mean, Pablo Sandoval is kind of like the more favorable, I guess, projection there. But yeah, at some point you feel like they're going to have to work him in. And I don't know that it's going to be a catcher because the Cubs already can't play Miguel Amaya enough. But it's just going to further complicate things for Carson Kelly at some point, I think.
Max Scherzer threw another bullpen on a Wednesday that went, quote, fairly well. Manager John Schneider said Scherzer is definitely making progress and that the feedback has been a lot better. Jarrett Jones has begun a throwing program. He is on the IL with a UCL sprain in his right elbow. Austin Hayes, who's missed 2 in a row with a hamstring injury, is expected to avoid the IL. Hayden Wesneski is not expected to make his next start until next week, so apologies to those who have him in their lineup. Apparently, he's not dealing with any injury. The Astros just wanted to give him more rest as his last start was pretty inefficient. Speaking of the Astros, Lance McCullers Jr. will start Sunday against the White Sox. This will be his first start since the 2022 World Series. I mean, 3 years, almost 3 years, like 2.5 years at this point, but now 31 years old. He's dealt with so many arm injuries. I have no expectations. Do you guys have interest in adding him in deeper leagues for now?
Checking on the velocity here. It is
not where it was at his peak. It's been around 92, 93, I think.
Yeah, it's down a couple miles per hour. So I have very low expectations for Lance McCullers. Those deepest leagues like AL only, maybe even some deeper mixed leagues where there's just nothing interesting out there. You take a flyer and hope for the best, but your hope should be low.
All right, and prayers up to the fan in the Pirates game, man, that fell out of the stands. It was very scary stuff. The players were kind of shaken up, taking a knee and everything, and hope everything works out. I haven't heard anything definitive. I know it was like critical condition, but yeah, hope everything works out with that fan in the Pirates game. Waiver wire hitters, other names here. I wanted to mention Victor Scott had a big doubleheader, 3 for 7 with a sock and a shoe. 271 batting average for him. He's got 2 homers, 10 steals, 742 OPS. Every time I think he's about to kind of like slump his way out of a job, he bounces back. He has a couple good games here. 69% roster on CBS. I think that sounds right. I don't think he needs to be rostered in points leagues, but somewhere like Yahoo, 31%. I have to imagine there are some head-to-head category teams that need speed out there. So should be.
I still think it would have to be a 5 outfielder league, though.
Fair.
Not that you couldn't roster him in a 3 outfielder league. I just hope you wouldn't be starting him.
3 outfielders in a utility spot and a head-to-head category is like I think it's justifiable.
Which one are we talking about again?
Victor Scott.
Yeah. I think
Break
I mostly
the tie,
agree with
Chris.
Scott. Yeah, I think I mostly agree with Scott. The 69% rostered is fine. You said it's 31% in Yahoo?
Yeah. The distinction was I was saying Frank was saying all categories leagues he should be rostered. I was saying probably just the 5 outfielder category leagues.
I think it probably, like, if you really need speed, he's clearly going to be a standout there.
There's probably one team in every 12-team categories league that needs speed, though, right? I would think.
Yeah. That's what
how much. What are you forfeiting to get that speed in your lineup?
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been a complete zero in other spots. Yeah. It's the counting stats have been get like 2 homers. All right. He's probably only going to hit 5 or 6 for the season, but batting average has been okay so far. So I don't know. Yeah. It's been a nice start to the season for Victor Scott. Jeremy Payne.
Someone in the chat asked Victor Scott or TJ Friedel. I'd definitely go Friedel there.
I think so. Yeah.
I would go Victor Scott.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeremy Pena has quietly had a strong start to the season as well, 3 for 5 with his 4th home run, and he has led off 4 games in a row with Jose Altuve batting second. I didn't confirm this, but I heard this on Dodgers radio today that Jose Altuve requested to be moved to second in the lineup because he now plays left field, and it takes him too long to run from left field to the dugout to get ready to hit leadoff for the game.
I thought I saw that on a joke account. It wasn't a joke.
I did see that he requested to hit second. I wasn't sure. I didn't know that was the reason.
I don't know if that's actually the reason or not.
Did you follow the joke, Frank?
No, I heard it on the Dodgers radio broadcast.
Okay.
I will say with regards to Pena, like he's having a pretty solid start to the season, and the underlying numbers are actually even better. He has a 364 xWOBA compared to a 330 mark. His XBA is 298. He's cut the strikeout rate to 16%. He's hitting the ball a lot harder this season.
Walking a little bit more too.
Yeah. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that it really matters, but maybe there's another level that Jeremy Pena can get to.
Would you rather have Jeremy Pena or Masyn Winn?
Masyn Winn.
Scott?
I think that's pretty close, actually. I might give the edge to Pena.
You know, the thing you have to keep in mind with Jose Altuve before you make fun of him, it's a lot of steps to get out to left field.
I never make fun of Jose.
You know, like that's like Aaron Judge only has to take like 12 steps and he's in the outfield. Jose Altuve's got it's a lot more work to get out.
Short stride.
Yeah.
No, he's getting older.
Yeah.
You don't want to be winded before the inning even begins.
Max Muncy of the Dodgers. I guess I have to make that distinction now. He's off the schneid, 2 for 4 with his first home run of the season. Everything else looks pretty bad. He's down to 50% rostered. I feel like we should just leave him there, right? And maybe he gets hot and we pick him up, but it's been a really, really bad start for Max Muncy.
Yeah, he feels unstartable. I mean, hopefully this is the start of the turnaround. Obviously, his track record is pretty stable, but he is getting older. And even in my roto leagues with corner infield spots, I haven't I've taken him out of my lineup. So yeah, it's gonna take a bit of a hot streak, I think, to regain my trust.
Some names in deeper 5 outfielder leagues. Kyle Stowers might be a dude. 4 for 4 with a double dong, 4 RBI here, batting .323, 906 OPS. And Dalton Varsho had a nice game, recently returned from injury, 2 for 4 with his first home run, batting 5th all of a sudden in the Blue Jays lineup. Both are 23% rostered. Who do you prefer in those deeper 5 outfielder leagues?
I assume you guys talked about that catch Dalton Varsho made on Tuesday night.
It's crazy.
Because I might want to pick him up just for that. No, I would not take either Stowers or Varsho over Pages or Beck.
I didn't ask that question yet.
Oh, sorry.
Just between the two, who do you like?
I was thinking about the catch, and I didn't actually listen to what you were asking. I'm sorry.
I like Stowers more than Varsho.
I don't like Stowers that much. Is it Stowers or Stowers? I think
thought it was Stowers, but I have no idea.
I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure it's Stowers.
Okay. I believe you. I just have often been confused by his name. Stowers, it looks like Baseball Reference is saying. Nicknames include Stowers Power. Okay, we're going with Stowers. So his strikeout rate is near 30%. His exit velocities are kind of meh. I mean, he hit 3 balls really hard in this game, but overall, they don't really back up what he's been doing here with the .321 batting average. And obviously a bad lineup too. So I think everything's going to take a turn for the worse here for Kyle Stowers. I'm not saying you can't roster him in 5 outfielder leagues, but I don't think you should believe you've unearthed some gem here that's going to be a staple in your lineup moving forward.
I do want to say 2 things regarding Dalton Varsho. 1, I believe that catch he made would count as 2 outs in a Savannah Bananas game. And 2, remember he used to be a catcher?
Yeah.
I don't know if we talk enough about how crazy it is that he just transitioned to the outfield like 3 years ago and has been like one of the 5 best defensive center fielders in baseball. That's wild.
I wonder.
That's really impressive.
I wonder how much exposure Craig Biggio had to second base before he went from catcher to second base. And then he wound up in center field too.
I mean, every time he hit a double for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It is impressive. Varsho, athletic specimen. What can you say?
Want to mention a deep league middle infielder, J.P. Crawford, has picked things up. Last 12 games, he's hitting .400 with 2 home runs, 13 RBI, tons of line drives. But the problem with Crawford, he kind of feels like a deep points league player.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many of those leagues there are.
I'm in my Tout Wars league is a points league with roto rosters. That's probably the only league where I'd really look to pick J.P. Crawford up in.
Yep. I think that's fair. Other waiver wire pitchers besides the debuts from earlier, Tony Gonsolin, obviously top of the list. Tyler Anderson, another quality start. He has allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in all 6 starts this season. Luis L. Ortiz had a strong start up against the Twins, 6 1/3 shutout with 5 strikeouts in that one. Both are under 40% roster. Do you have any interest in Tyler Anderson or Luis L. Ortiz?
I'm kind of interested in Ortiz. You look at the whiff rate on his pitches, like it's he doesn't have one pitch that has like a 40% rate, but there's a lot of 25 to 35%. And the overall swinging strike rate was 13%. He has given up hard contact, and he's not really a ground ball pitcher. So I don't think there's a really high ceiling here for Luis Ortiz, but I think there's enough bat missing potential that Cleveland, they have a reputation for maximizing pitcher outcomes. And I think they've unlocked enough here in Ortiz that he's going to be maybe a little better than a streamer moving forward.
He's a spark.
Yeah.
So in those formats, certainly I think in roto leagues, I'm not particularly interested though.
I know we probably shouldn't trust is not the right word. add Tyler Anderson, I guess, but entering this start, he had a 3.73 xERA and an 11.9% swinging strike rate, and he had 18 whiffs in this game. So, just thought I would mention that. But Tyler Anderson,
How'd that Andrew Heaney follow up go?
Oh, do you hold or drop these pitchers? Landon Roop, we kind of talked about. Jake Irvin, what do you think about those two rough outings for both of them?
Irvin, he's in the Mitchell Parker category. Like, whatever you get out of him, just thank your lucky stars. And
he's a 2-star pitcher next week.
Yeah.
Versus Cleveland versus St. Louis.
There's a
I
good
think
chance
that's
he'll be on.
fine in a points league, but I don't have any interest in him in a roto league.
Yeah.
Certainly a 12-team one.
Roop's still interesting with this curveball, but I don't think interesting enough that he only has one good start this year.
He's kind of just interesting.
Yeah. For now, anyway. Keep an eye on him. Keep him on the scout team, but I don't think you have to continue to roster Landon Roop.
I really think just like, because like Max Meyer has a similar approach where he spams that secondary pitch so much that like the slider is his primary pitch. He throws it 40 to 45% of the time. Roop is in a similar range. I just think it's really hard to do that with a 77 mile an hour curveball that breaks as much as his. I just think that's going to be, I think inconsistency is going to be the problem. And there are going to be really, really impressive starts where he's got the feel for it and he dominates. But I think there's going to be a lot of starts where it's just too hard to throw strikes consistently that way.
Yeah. I think his command is worse than Max Meyer's too.
Yeah.
You know who would be better than Landon Roop? And also better than Jordan Hicks. That's kind of the one I'd rather see go. Is Hayden Birdsong.
He's on the rundown. He's up next.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I mean, look, now's the time to, if you're playing a deeper league, stash Hayden Birdsong. He really should get another opportunity. He's been awesome this season. 113 ERA, 106 whip, 10K per 9, 14% swinging strike rate. So if you want to stash Hayden Birdsong with the hopes he gets in the rotation, I could see that happening at some point soon.
I will say, just as a general rule, I've seen some people do this with Ben Kasparius as well for the Dodgers, who's been kind of their bulk reliever, who's had very good numbers. It's a completely different animal than starting. You know, even throwing 2 or 3 innings out of the bullpen is just so different than being asked to navigate a lineup 2, maybe 3 times. It's not to say that Birdsong isn't an interesting talent. I think he is. It's just keep expectations in check.
Yeah.
You don't know how it's going to go, but we were rooting for him to win the rotation spot with his performance this spring.
And we did see some pretty big upside starts last season, at least in terms of strikeouts for Birdsong as well. Chase Dolander, just wanted to mention, this is probably just a scout team for now, right? I mean, good start against the Braves, 5 2/3, 1 run, only 4 strikeouts, but 14 whiffs on 87 pitches here. He left with a broken fingernail, so not entirely sure he'll make his next start, but prospect of note, has a good start, but I think it's just kind of a scout team for now, right?
Yep.
The odds are not in his favor.
All right, let's take our final break, and when we return, we will do the Trustometer right after this quick commercial break.
This is what you were made for.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today, the Trustometer. How much do you trust these hitters will get all the way back on track? 1, you have no confidence in that happening. 10, they will definitely get back on track. And a lot of these names have already started to heat back up, but, you know, trying to find a way to talk about them. Riley Green, 4 for 4 with 2 runs over his last 7 games. He's batting .407 with 3 homers. Where is he on the Trustometer?
9.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. As we move on, I might want to lower him to an 8 if everybody's coming out a 9 or a 10, but I'll go 9 for right now with Riley Green.
There's definitely at least one that's not a 9.
All right. Wilson Contreras is coming around 2 for 4 with his 3rd home run in game 2 of their doubleheader. 18 games since April 12th. He is batting .309 with 3 homers, 2 steals, and just a 16% strikeout rate. Where is Wilson Contreras on the Trustometer?
Sounds like it's already happened.
Yeah.
10.
I mean, the overall numbers is still 222 with a 642 OPS. So yeah,
I'll go 9 just because he's old, but the The strikeout rate, I think, is the most encouraging part there because it was inflated early on for Wilson Contreras.
Rafael Devers is racking up the hits again. Last 5 games, 8 hits, 3 homers, 7 runs, 5 RBI.
20,
That's 10.
30,
Yeah.
50. He has like the best quality of contact metrics of his career. I really think it was just he only played 5 spring games and he needed a week or 2 to get up to speed because it's basically like the numbers weren't there, but all the underlying stuff after the first week has been Rafael Devers.
Yeah. And I think you'll probably say the same thing about his teammate, Jarren Duran, who in his last 8 games is batting .405 with 1 homer and 4 steals.
Well, I'm going to go 9 just because he was never a 10, even on draft day.
Yeah.
So I'm already deciding I'm lowering Riley Green to 8 just to further distinguish my confidence level in these players.
I'll go 9.
The only other thing with Jarren Duran is I do want to see more power at some point. Obviously, he's only got 2 home runs to this point. It's a 147 ISO. Last year, that was 207. Even the year before, it was 187. So hoping that the power shows up some point soon. He is hitting the ball really hard. 92.9 average exit velocity there for Jarren Duran.
And the launch angle is even higher than last year. I mean, it wasn't that high last year, but it's higher this year. So that's not been a problem for Duran either. I think if you're making hard contact at the right angles, the power is going to come.
Mark Vientos, last 11 games, he's hitting .310 with 4 homers and 11 RBI. I believe at least one of those came off of a position player. But what about Vientos on the Trustometer?
6.
I was going to say 7, but we're both in agreement it's the lowest right now.
I mean, his chase rate is way down. It's down to 27%. That's by far the lowest of his career. It's actually lower than the league average. He's also, his bat speed is way down, and that's not everything, right? Like bat speed is one in a number of factors to take into consideration. And Scott, you've brought up that it's not clear bat speed tells us a ton that the stats we already have don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mostly agree with that, but when you're looking at a change over year, I do think there's something there, especially in Vientos' case, because it's coming with that plate discipline change where I think he might just be like, despite
selling out for contact.
Yeah, selling out for contact or just making his swing decisions a little later than he needs to try to make sure that he's getting, making the right choice. And that in theory could help the strikeout rate lower. And it has, it's cost him a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
His quality of contact metrics, really bad right now. His average exit velocity, 90.1 miles per hour. That's 57th percentile. Okay, it's above average, but this is a guy who probably needs, borderline elite quality of contact to really matter. And even lately, his last 50 plate appearances, 299 expected WOBA. So even, those last 11 or 10 games, whatever you cited, Frank, doesn't really seem to be much there in the underlying numbers to back it up. So I'm pretty iffy on Mark Vientos right now. And I was iffy on him coming in. So could be confirmation bias here too.
I was too. And I am factoring in the confirmation bias. If my level of trust in a player wasn't that high coming in, it's going to be lower now too. I just want to point out, because we have all this new data that can give us new insights into what a player's doing in the moment, what he's done up to this point. It's still not like it still doesn't describe his permanent state.
Yeah.
Like
none of these stats.
A lot of times we would say a player is cold because we had no other way of stating it. But if we had this underlying information available, we probably would have found a lot of the same things. Like if this isn't working, if Mark Vientos has intentionally changed his approach to make better swing decisions and it's not working for him, you would imagine at some point he would revert to his past approach and heat up and do what people expected all along. So that's why I'm only going 7. I mean, it may you mentioned that in recent at-bats, it hasn't improved that much, but he is starting to hit home runs. So, it may be that it won't be long before people are wondering what there was to doubt about Vientos in the first place.
3 other hitters who are struggling much more, but they had big games here on Wednesday. JT Realmuto, 2 for 4 with his second home run of the season, still batting .237 with a .669 OPS. Where is he on the Trustometer?
8, only because he's old, but his underlying data is still pretty solid right now.
Yeah, I was going to say 8 also.
All right.
I still have a lot of confidence in him. As thrilled as I am with Agustin Ramirez, I can't move him past the Realmuto line.
Especially 4 steals already after only stealing 2 last year. Sprint speed's back up to 85%. I think JT Realmuto is going to be a must-start guy the rest of the way.
Some signs of life from Vinny P.
Baby.
Vinny Pasquantino, 1 for 4 with his 4th home run. He is batting .177 with a .569 OPS. Where is Vinny P on the Trustometer?
He's probably down there at a 7 with Vientos. And part of that is I just still don't have a great grasp of what of what Pasquantino is. Because he's shown flashes throughout his major league career. There have been a lot of injuries that have interrupted things. If you look at this full season stat lines for Vinny Pasquantino, none of them are that impressive. It's just, he was finally starting to get going. He was finally doing what we expected from Pasquantino, and then injury ended it all. So I don't know that he is just what his full season stats show, but if that is all he is, then he's not that big of a deal. He's better in points leagues, obviously. He's definitely a startable hitter there. But pretty
even there, not a difference maker.
Yeah, even there, like 3 fantasy points per game last year for Vinny P.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good, but
you'll notice my analysis was all about it's the same analysis I could have given coming into the season. It has really little to do with what he's done so far, because what he's done so far, I don't think the only thing that it might suggest is that he's feeling that hamstring injury more than has been let on. The hamstring injury that was in play on opening day, right from the very start of the season.
Right before the season, right?
Yep. Anthony Santander blasted a clutch home run on Wednesday here, 1 for 5 with his 4th homer, 3 RBI. He's batting only .175, .574 OPS. First season, new location, big contract here with the Blue Jays. What do you guys think about Santander on the Trustometer?
I'm still like a 9 on him. I know the underlying number. This is one where it's kind of the opposite of someone we were talking about earlier, where the underlying numbers aren't there. I think he's just not locked in that classic sense, and eventually he will be, and he'll be fine. That's where I'm at.
As somebody who has a long history of underestimating Santander, take it from me. Don't underestimate Santander.
All right, let's get back into the rest of Wednesday's action and back over to pitching. Cristopher Sanchez's first start after leaving with forearm soreness. Pretty good one. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts here, 13 whiffs on 87 pitches. Velocity looked fine from what I could see. What do you guys think of Sanchez's first start back from that?
Everything looked fine. Command a little shaky. That would be my only concern, just that, like, if he's 97% healthy, but he has to reach back a little more to get the velocity, does it mess up his command?
Does it lead to another injury?
Well, sure, that would be the bigger concern, but there's nothing we can do about that.
Sure.
But my concern level is relatively low.
All right. Let's go over to Corbin Burnes. Maybe the concern level is a little bit higher here. A weird start for Corbin Burnes at the Mets. 6 innings, 1 run, 5 walks to 3 strikeouts here. Only threw 52% of his pitches for strikes. His velocity was down in this one. It was 71 degrees in Citi Field, so I don't think that was part of any blame for his velocity being down here. Strikeouts are down, walks are up. you guys were talking beforehand. Like, I don't know what to make of Corbin Burnes right now.
Yeah, I've moved him behind Michael King and Yoshinobu Yamamoto in my rest of season rankings. So just very slow and measured move down the rankings for Burnes. And it's mostly just out of respect for him and his track record and the fact that we saw him make adjustments last season. But I don't see a lot to be encouraged by here. And that doesn't mean he's doomed. That doesn't mean it's all over for Corbin Burnes. But normally, when there is a player like this who's performing below expectations, I can say, yeah, but this is okay and this is okay. And he's probably okay, especially when it comes to pitchers, because, you know, when people are freaking out about the top line stats for numbers when the sample is small, a lot of times the foundation is still there, you know, but it's not for Burnes. Like the swinging strikes have just collapsed. And
20% strikeout rate, 12% walk rate. That is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the cutter's not there. That's the biggest thing. The velocity was down again today. About 2.5 miles per hour down from where he was last year, if I'm remembering correctly. He was down to 93 miles per hour with it. And also 12 inches of induced vertical break, only like 2 inches of horizontal break. He last September, when he rediscovered his cutter, he said that his cutter had turned into a crappy four-seam fastball. He used more colorful language, but there might be kids listening. That's what it looks like right now. His his cutter looks like a crappy four-seamer. And especially if he's sitting 93 with it instead of closer to 94 or 95 even, where he was last year, I'm really concerned. I don't want to panic and say, sell Corbin Burnes right now, because it could just be a simple mechanical tweak or a grip tweak and he gets back to it like he did last September. But the fact that he lost it, had a terrible August, rediscovered it in September, and then seemingly lost it again in the offseason, that makes me think that it's not quite so easy to get it back as I thought it was. And it's looking pretty bad. Yeah, I haven't updated my rankings for this week yet. Just eyeballing it, I could drop him to about 15th, maybe even lower. Like, I'm not 100% sure I'd rather have Corbin Burnes than Logan Webb the rest of the way. I know Logan Webb's coming off a bad start, but I think he's been really impressive this season. He's expanded his arsenal. It's kind of a similar thing for Logan Webb, where his changeup has come and gone. When he's had it, he's looked amazing. He's expanded his arsenal enough that I think he can survive without the changeup, but I don't know. I could fairly easily move. Am I certain I'd rather have Corbin Burnes than Freddie Peralta right now? Ooh. I don't think I am.
All right. Well, I'm not going to let you squirm out of this then. I have Logan Webb. I send you an offer right now. Logan Webb for Corbin Burnes. Are you taking it?
I'm probably turning it down.
Okay.
But I acknowledge that one of my weaknesses as a player is I anchor too much to my preseason expectations for players. That could be what I'm doing here, because I had Corbin Burnes as my number 4 or 5 starting pitcher. Well, that looks dumb right now. Like I don't think he's that guy. I don't think it's impossible that he gets back to being that guy, but it's been a really discouraging start for Corbin Burnes. I think this is even worse than even lower than last August for me, just because the underlying stuff is so much worse than it's been.
Other pitching leftovers, Chris Sale had his best start of the season. He took a tough luck loss at the Rockies. 7 innings, 2 runs, a season high 10 strikeouts to 0 walks. Michael King pitched well against the Giants, 5 2/3, 1 run, 6 strikeouts for him. Pablo Lopez, a quality start at the Guardians, 6 1/3, 2 runs with 6 strikeouts. And Nathan Eovaldi looked great against the Athletics, 6 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts to 0 walks, 16 whiffs on 92 pitches. I believe it's 3 walks in 42 2/3 innings for Nathan Eovaldi this season. Anything to add on those 4? Eovaldi, Pablo Lopez, Michael King, Chris Sale.
Are we feeling good about Chris Sale now? I know it's the Rockies and Coors Field is weird and all of that. It was
told people to buy low earlier in the week.
Yeah.
You might have missed out.
So
Yeah.
one thing I do want to point out is this is the lowest team OPS that the Rockies have ever had at home. It's down to like 721 for the season. They're still like 17th in league-wide OPS at home. So I know the Rockies are terrible. Truly one of the most hopeless teams I've ever seen, frankly.
Just got their fifth win.
I don't even because it's one of those things where like I don't even know what like the good version of this team is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But Coors Field is not like the Rockies at Coors Field. It's not the Marlins, you know, like this is not a walkover matchup, despite it being a really poor lineup. So yeah, I haven't really had a good explanation for why Chris Sale has been so underwhelming anyway. So I kind of just chalk it up to
yeah. I mean,
weird
it
stuff
hasn't been like Corbin Burns where it's just like
it's just kind of the results are bad, but everything else looks fine, kind of thing.
Which is just that's the underlying foundation of pitchers when they're struggling early on. What I was referring to when I say, well, even when they're struggling, you see that the basic components of the pitcher are fine, and so he's probably fine. And I think that's true of Sale.
All right, some hitting leftovers. For all the hoopla involved with Freddie Freeman, he's off to a pretty good start. 2 for 4, his 5th home run, batting .319, OPS over 1,000, first 20 games of the season. Teoscar Hernandez is on a heater last 7 games. He is hitting .452 with 4 homers, 14 RBI in 7 games, and 2 steals. Just a tremendous start for Teoscar. Aaron Judge will not stop. 3 for 3 with a walk in his 10th home run. He's batting .427 with a .521 on base percentage so far. And Lawrence
He
Butler
had 50 hits in the month of April. Aaron Judge had 50 hits in the March/April. He has over the past 165 days a .365 batting average, a .1255 OPS, 62 home runs, 138 runs, 155 RBI, and 12 stolen bases. Like this is kids. For those of you who weren't old enough, Frank, I actually don't know if you were old enough to have watched Barry Bonds in the early 2000s. Not to put you out there. That's what this was like. It's unbelievable what he's done over the past year. It's just, given that Barry Bonds was on steroids, this might be the best I've ever seen from a hitter. And I never thought I would say that. I never thought I would see someone hit at the level Barry Bonds did in the early 2000s. It's bonkers.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't think he's going to keep up a .427 batting average, but it's pretty interesting to just compare his start to this season versus his start to last season when he got off to a terrible start, and he still wound up with a batting average over
58 runs.
58 home runs. Like, where will the numbers end this season? I don't know. Like, let's just hope he stays healthy and we find out, like, how good of a season can Aaron Judge have? I don't know. We're about to find out. Lawrence Butler, 2 for 5 with a grand slam. He is hitting .254 early on, 5 homers, 5 steals. Was going to ask you guys, like, what do you make of his season so far? The OPS seems underwhelming, but he's basically on pace for a 25-25 season right now. So I think overall you're pleased.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what he's doing. My biggest concern was that the improved strikeout rate we saw from him from the time he returned from the minors early June last year, whatever range of numbers I kept citing, where Butler got that strikeout rate way down and everything blew up. Like, strikeout rate's 22% for the year. And he's walking at a nice rate. Plate discipline's been great. Exit velocities look good. I think the spray angle's been a little suboptimal for power, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal in the long run. I think you're going to be happy with what Lawrence Butler gets you, and it looks like the power's begun to tick up here lately.
Call to the bullpen for the Tigers. Tommy Canley got the final 4 outs, striking out 2 for his 5th save of the season. Kind of feels like the pendulum is swinging back in his favor, but I guess we never know with AJ Hinch. For the Rockies, somebody named Zach Agnos picked up his first career save. Seth Halverson pitched in the 8th inning, facing 9-1-2 in the Braves lineup. He struck out 2. Tyler Kinley feels like he should have been available, but he's not very good. Man, I mean, the deepest of category leagues. Any interest in a Zach Agnos?
So I mentioned the Rockies got their 5th win today. They've gotten 4 saves in those 5 wins. Different pitchers each time. 4 different pitchers have a save for them in their 5 wins.
Ugh.
So no.
That's the food was terrible and the portion sizes were so small.
Totally a fair answer. For the Padres, Robert Suarez struck out 2 for his 12th save. For the Guardians, Cade Smith entered with 1 out in the 7th, 1 runner on in a tie game. He struck out the next 2. Emmanuel Clase got the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He gave up a run on 2 hits. He struck out 3 for his 5th save. And is that just it? Clase's back?
I mean, I don't like that he gave up a run. He's already given up more than last year.
Yeah.
So
I guess just
I don't know.
Back in the role.
Yeah, well, he's back in the role. That was clear already, I think. But I wouldn't be so quick to drop Cade Smith.
Yep.
Or Cade Smith.
For the Yankees, Devin Williams pitched in the 7th inning with the Yankees down 1 run. He walked 1, also struck out 1, nothing else. But 2 clean outings in a row for Devin Williams. For the Orioles, Felix Bautista got the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. He struck out 1 for his 5th save. Has looked pretty good.
Best he's looked all season.
Yep.
The velocity was way up too.
For the Pirates, David Bednar got the 9th inning with a 1-run lead against the Cubs. So, pretty high leverage here. Gave up a hit, and he struck out 1 for his 3rd save. And Bednar, since returning, it's 6 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts to 1 walk. He has 2 saves, only 41% rostered. Feels like that number should be higher for David Bednar. For the Royals, Carlos Estevez.
I wanted to point out, because I agree with you, but I thought this was the most revealing outing yet, because when David Bednar got his save before, Danny Santana, is that his name? I'm forgetting his name now. Dennis Santana, yeah. Dennis Santana worked the 8th against the top of, it was the Dodgers lineup, right? So he faced the best of the Dodgers lineup in the 8th, and then they turned to Bednar in the 9th. And then I noticed they used Bednar in the 9th of a non-save situation the other day, did not use Dennis Santana in that game. So I was wondering, did they trick us? Was it just a leverage thing with Santana? But then obviously Bednar, conventional save chance, he gets it. And Santana didn't even pitch in this game. I wonder if something's going on with him.
He's on the bereavement list right now.
Oh, okay.
Yep. For the Royals, Carlos Estevez picked up his 9th save. For the Brewers, Trevor McGill got the 9th with a 2-run lead. He gave up a hit and walk, but struck out 2 for his 3rd save. And
it's a little shaky.
Yeah. For the Rangers, Luke Jackson entered the 9th of the game tied. He was charged with 4 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks. He has a 6.55 ERA and a 1.55 whip. This was not a save opportunity, but obviously he was tasked with keeping the game tied, and he did not do that. Meanwhile, Chris Martin has a 1.84 ERA and a 0.95 whip. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't even know if it would be Chris Martin. Maybe it would be Robert. What's his last name there? Robert. I'm forgetting the other.
I'm forgetting his name too.
But they have another, I could see the Rangers going away from Luke Jackson at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Luke Jackson's very good. I'm always
Robert Garcia.
I'm always quick to dismiss the bad outing for a closer in a non-safe situation, and I just wish managers would acknowledge this. It's kind of one of the most frustrating things about modern bullpen usage is that they don't put anything on the emotion of the moment. It's just no matter what moment or situation you enter into, you're supposed to perform exactly the same, when obviously adrenaline is going to be different and just the whole mentality might be different for the pitcher. And it's so often that we see closers in non-save situations just have outings like this. Like they just can't get up for it for whatever reason. And Luke Jackson had been totally fine prior to this. So I don't think he's on the verge of losing the job.
I agree with a 4-run inning kind of going awry for a non-safe situation, but bringing in who you think is your closer or best
a
tie game. I mean,
tie game is
that's a pretty high leverage spot, I would say.
like you got to be able to get up.
Maybe I read the box score wrong. Sorry. I thought they had.
I think he turned it into a 4-run game.
Yeah.
It was.
It was tied. It was tied going into the 9th. They lost 7-1. They gave up 6 runs in the 9th.
Okay. Yeah, I just read the box score wrong. Sorry.
Okay.
So forget that. He blew a tie. That's a little different. And I still think he gets a longer leash than this because he had been totally fine. But he can't afford many more of this, obviously.
All right. To stream or not to stream on Thursday, we have Colin Ray at the Pirates, Matthew Liberatore at the Reds, Andrew Abbott versus the Cardinals, Chad Patrick at the White Sox. Verlander home against the Rockies. That could work.
Yeah, Verlander, I think, is fine. That's probably the only one. I could see a good start from Liberatore or Abbott, but I don't have a ton of faith in them. Same with Colin Ray.
Chad Patrick at the White Sox would probably be my second choice to Verlander, but actually they both were among my streamer pitchers for the week. So, yeah, Verlander, then Chad Patrick.
I think Colin Ray at the Pirates, I'm pretty open about starting almost anybody at the Pirates, and Colin Ray has looked pretty good, so I could see that working out for him. And then on Friday, not the best slate, but we have Jack Leiter facing the Mariners, Osvaldo Bido at the Marlins, Michael Wacha at the Orioles, Jose Soriano home against the Tigers.
You're not going to get me to say start Osvaldo Bido even against the Marlins.
It's worked out when we've started him against the White Sox both times.
That I will live with it if it doesn't work out.
Okay, I'm not.
Or I'll live with it. I will live with it if it does work out, I guess.
Because I think both those White Sox started was 1 strikeout, so it felt like you got away with something.
Yeah,
but it did technically work out. I think I know his last couple starts have been shaky, but Jose Soriano against the Tigers still seems like the best one here to me. The Orioles lineup is kind of weird. Sometimes it just seems inept. And I don't think it'll be always that way, but Michael Wacha is a decent pitcher. I think he's coming off his best start of the season. So that matchup at Baltimore might go okay for him.
All right. We are going to wrap there. For Scott and Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. And we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.